Prince Harry and Meghan Markle feel incredibly threatened by Tom Bower and his upcoming book, Betrayal. And how do we know this? Why Harry and Meghan have essentially promoted him by responding to excerpts from his book that have appeared in the Times of London, basically saying that he's deranged, a conspiracy theorist, and a stalker of some sorts, even though all the guy is doing is reporting.
Can it really get any worse? Maybe, yes, given what that post-divorce book could contain. And of course, that is another huge risk for Prince Harry. If he pushes her too far, then he thinks, oh my God, what is she going to say about it?
They had one job, stay quiet, and somehow they still messed it up. This week, Harry and Meghan dropped a heated public statement calling investigative journalist Tom Bower, quote, deranged. That reaction came fast and it came loud. Here's the twist. His book wasn't even out yet. Within just 48 hours, their statement exploded online, and suddenly Tom Bower's book shot straight to #1 on Amazon. Instead of shutting it down, they basically boosted it into the spotlight. And this is the part people aren't really clocking right now. This book isn't just digging into what went down inside palace walls. It goes way deeper than that. It pulls back the curtain on who Meghan was long before Harry entered the picture. That past. It didn't just disappear. It's been carefully covered up for years. And that's exactly what has them on edge right now. One simple question blows this whole thing wide open. If this book is packed with lies, then why won't they sue? Harry has no problem taking people to court.
He is investigating and reporting. Harry and Meghan, that is called journalism. Apparently, though, the two of them don't know that. However, by actually responding to these excerpts and creating this insanely aggressive response, what they are telling us in the public is that they are worried about the revelations, that Tom Bower is somebody to be taken seriously, because if he is just deranged, stalker, conspiracy theorist, whatever, you ignore him rather than responding. By responding, Harry and Meghan have unwittingly, as ever, promoted his book. They have done the exact opposite of what they should do.
He's gone after British tabloids, stood in courtrooms, and spoken emotionally about press intrusion. Lawsuits are basically part of his routine at this point, so what's stopping him from going after Tom Bower? They didn't sue when Revenge dropped back in 2022 either. They said they hated it, called it lies, but still, no lawsuit. And now, same pattern, same silence. That's not random. Now look at who Tom Bower actually is. He's not some gossip blogger throwing out wild claims. He's a trained barrister, a real lawyer. He doesn't just write, he builds cases, stacks evidence, and documents everything carefully. This man has written over 25 books on powerful figures. Politicians, billionaires, royals, and not a single one has successfully taken him down in court. Not one. And then things got even messier in Vancouver. At the Invictus Games, a group of Sussex supporters rolled up on him, filming, surrounding him, trying to embarrass a 79-year-old man online. But instead of tearing him down, they handed him something huge. They put him right there on camera at the event. They confirmed his presence, turned him into a direct eyewitness to everything. He even later pointed out the favor they unknowingly did for him. It's actually hard to overstate how solid his position is right now. And when you take a closer look at that statement they released, it starts to hit very different. Mr. Bower's commentary has long crossed the line from criticism into fixation. That's what they're saying, but does that really hold up? He wrote one book about them, then another project in between, plus a full biography on the Beckhams.
In some ways, he does despise his wife. It's not about love, it's not about affection, it's about ownership, and it's about showing the world who is in control. And he can't stand that, and he cannot pretend that he can put up.
That's not obsession. That's called doing your job and building a career. Now here's where it gets serious. That next line, those seeking deranged conspiracy and melodrama know exactly where to find him. That wasn't Sluchino thrown in. The word deranged stands out for a reason. Online, there's already a label used by certain fan groups for commentators they don't like. They call them ANGs. That language didn't come from nowhere, and using that word like that, it feels very deliberate, because once you drop a label like that, things can escalate fast. You point a highly charged online fanbase toward a 79-year-old journalist, and suddenly, the situation flips. The same person being criticized is now being framed as the threat, and that contrast raises serious questions about what's really going on here. In British law, you take legal action when something is false. You put out a press statement when something hits a little too close to the truth and you're scrambling. And what did they do here? They issued a statement, not a lawsuit. Parts of the book were already serialized in the Times before it even dropped, and what's surfaced so far? That's only the tip of it. Then comes a claim that really turns heads. Camilla, Queen Camilla, allegedly told a close friend, in Tom Bower's words, that Meghan had brainwashed Harry. That's not coming from some random tabloid or unnamed source floating around online. This is someone who has spent decades inside royal life, watching everything unfold up close. When a person like that is said to have made a comment like that in private, it doesn't land like gossip. It hits more like a serious personal opinion shaped by what they've seen firsthand. And then there's that moment everyone keeps pointing back to. June 2018, right after the honeymoon. A sit-down at William and Catherine's Kensington Palace apartment meant to ease tensions and fix things. According to Bower, it didn't go smoothly. The conversation got heated, emotions ran high, and at one point William pointed his finger. And that's when Meghan reportedly said, "If you don't mind, get your finger out of my face." That moment, people in that room are said to have realized right then, this situation wasn't going to be smoothed over easily. The disappearing act. Harry didn't just drift away, he reportedly cut ties fast. He changed his phone number without telling his family, and just like that, people from his old life were suddenly out of reach. Friends he'd known for years, gone overnight. Some didn't even make it to the wedding after party, even though they were there for the ceremony. His former royal butler even confirmed parts of this publicly. It wasn't that those friends walked away, it's being described as Harry being pulled away from them. Then things take a sharp turn. There's a claim about a trip to Tokyo, where Harry was said to be urgently trying to secure backing from a wealthy Japanese businessman to keep his charity afloat.
Well, I do think the Sussex overdrive is unbelievable, but I don't think that he is going to get back in.
And during a flight to Singapore, Dr. Sophie Chand reportedly presented him with a detailed brand audit. The result? It painted a rough picture. Dozens of major corporations were surveyed, and the conclusion was that his public image had taken a serious hit. Meghan was described in a quoted phrase as a reputational liability. Faced with that, Harry reportedly pushed back, even comparing himself to Johnny Depp, and not long after that, Sophie Chand was gone, later making public claims of harassment, while the charity itself struggled to stay standing. Netflix didn't exactly deliver a win here. Harry's polo documentary reportedly sank way down the rankings, sitting at number 3,436. That's not just low, that's buried. And it didn't stop there. At a major Netflix showcase, comedian John Mulaney openly joked about them in front of top executives and big-name celebrities. Meghan's show. It wasn't even brought up during the main presentation. So what was the response? There's a claim their PR strategy shifted fast. Head to a wildfire zone and get cameras rolling. But instead of turning things around, it sparked backlash. Filmmaker Justine Bateman even posted publicly, calling them disaster tourists. That phrase spread quickly, with thousands echoing it. Every attempt to look genuine seemed to bounce back in the opposite direction. And this is where the pressure really builds. Because Tom Bower's approach, across more than 25 books, is all about digging into the parts people would rather keep hidden. The uncomfortable details, the buried chapters. That's where he focuses. So the big question starts getting louder. Who was Meghan before Harry? She worked as a briefcase model on Deal or No Deal, something she's spoken about feeling unhappy with, saying it reduced her to just standing there, waiting to be chosen. At that stage, her career included smaller roles, unaired pilots, and guest appearances on shows that didn't leave a big mark. By standard Hollywood metrics, it was a slow climb without major breakout moments. She wasn't a major name, not a breakout star, and not someone expected to become a household name through acting alone. Then Suits happened, a cable legal drama filmed in Toronto, and that's when things started to shift. And according to Tom Bower's accounts, that's also where a pattern begins to take shape. First, Trevor Engelson. They were together for 7 years, then married in Jamaica in 2011. People around them described it as real love, something solid. But once Suits took off and she relocated to Toronto, things changed fast. Within about 2 years, the marriage was over. Reports say Engelson was completely blindsided. He didn't see it coming at all. Then came chef Corey Vitiello. They lived together for around 2 years, building a life side by side. But that relationship also ended around the same time she was introduced to Harry through mutual connections. And this is where the pattern people talk about gets attention. Across different chapters of her life, it's been described as a cycle. When a new opportunity appeared, the previous chapter closed quickly, with little connection back to it. And even before the royal spotlight, long before Harry entered the picture, there were already ongoing questions about her social circles in Hollywood. The private events, the high-profile connections, the elite spaces. Those details have been talked about for years, adding another layer to a story that keeps getting more complicated. The private gatherings, the billionaire circles, worlds most people never even get close to. And here's where the questions start stacking up. A lot of these topics haven't been clearly addressed or directly shut down with specific answers. And that's exactly the kind of ground Tom Bower has built his entire career on, digging into questions people can't seem to resolve. So it leads to one big question that keeps coming back. How much of the person Harry married was genuine, and how much was carefully shaped over time? But there's one topic that sparks more reaction than anything else. Whenever their names come up, Archie and Lilibet. Royal author Lady Colin Campbell, known for her connections in aristocratic circles, has publicly called for clear confirmation surrounding the births.
Which showed that he is very commercially minded, which we'll get into later on, which makes it impossible for him. And of course, Meghan wouldn't come back to Britain.
Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, has also said publicly that questions remain and should be answered. Her half-sister, Samantha Markle, has made similar public statements on record. There have even been reports claiming that a senior palace figure shared concerns with a media outlet, adding more fuel to ongoing speculation. For years now, discussion around the children has continued online and in the media, with a strong level of privacy maintained around them since birth. The legal side of this is where things get even more intense. Under British royal succession rules, questions around surrogacy can carry serious weight when it comes to a child's place in the line of succession. And right now, Archie and Lilibet are 6th and 7th in line to the throne. So if the circumstances around their births were ever formally challenged, the impact on titles and succession rights would be huge, no small issue. Then there's what people noticed at the time. There was no traditional hospital steps photo for Archie, which stood out because that's long been a royal custom. The level of privacy around the birth was also very different from what the public had seen before from the royal family. Fast forward to June 2025, Meghan posted a video on Instagram, dancing with Harry while visibly showing a baby bump. Many people took it as a response to ongoing online speculation. But that didn't settle things. Some critics immediately questioned what they were seeing, while others pushed back on those claims. And up to now, the couple haven't gone into detailed public explanations addressing every version of those questions directly. Not in the Oprah interview, not in the Netflix documentary, not in Spare, not anywhere. That question has never been directly addressed in detail. And that silence, stretching across years, is exactly what keeps the conversation alive. Because if there were a clear answer, people expect it would have been said plainly by now. And here's where timing starts to matter. Tom Bower's betrayal focuses right on the period when these discussions were at their loudest, which makes everything happening next feel even more charged. Australia, mid-April, just weeks away. This will be their first visit in 7 years. The last time they were there, back in October 2018, they were still working royals, newly married, and at the height of global attention. It was also on that tour that Meghan publicly revealed her pregnancy with Archie. The crowds were massive. The coverage was everywhere. It was the peak of their public image. Now compare that to what they're walking into this time. There's already a change.org petition circulating, calling for Australian taxpayers not to cover any of their security costs, not even a single dollar. The argument being pushed is simple. They stepped away from royal duties, so they should be treated as private citizens. And what's on their schedule? Meghan is set to headline a high-end weekend retreat in Sydney, with tickets starting at $2,699.
Is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem.
A VIP package, including a group photo with her, goes up to $3,199, with attendance capped at around 300 guests. Meanwhile, Harry is lined up to speak at a workplace mental health summit in Melbourne. Same country, but a very different moment this time. The same Harry who, according to claims, stood by while members of his online supporter base targeted Sophie Chand after she tried to step in and help his charity. And now he's set to speak about mental health in the workplace. That contrast has definitely raised eyebrows. Royal commentator Rob Shooter said what a lot of people have been thinking. This isn't a royal tour. They're showing up as private citizens while still benefiting from the attention tied to the royal family. And then there's an even sharper take. Royal historian Tim Hewitt pointed to Australia as a turning point, saying that trip played a role in what eventually led to their departure from royal life. So while this visit is being presented by some as a big return, others see it very differently, because something about that last visit didn't sit right, and people haven't forgotten. There's one detail that keeps coming up again and again. During the 2018 tour, Meghan was reportedly overheard near the Sydney Opera House, looking at the massive crowds and saying, "What are they all doing here? It's silly." Staff were said to have explained that people showed up out of respect for the monarchy. That was back when the crowds gathered freely. Now fast forward to today. At this upcoming Sydney event, tickets are priced in the thousands, with VIP access going even higher. And that shift, from public royal appearances to high-priced private events, is exactly what has people talking. And right as all of this builds, Tom Bower's book is set to drop on March 26th. They land in Australia mid-April, and by that point, every journalist waiting for them will already have read the book. Every interviewer, every camera, every single question will be shaped by it. There's no dodging that kind of spotlight. Before that statement dropped, Tom Bower's book already had solid early interest, but nothing like what came next. After the statement, it shot straight to #1 on Amazon before a single copy had even shipped. That's not normal. That's a surge driven by pure attention. Across social media, people were all saying the same thing. I didn't even plan to read it until they responded. That reaction flipped everything. The response didn't shut the story down. It pulled more people straight into it. And the media picked it up everywhere. Major outlets covered it back to back, not just because of the book itself, but because of the reaction to it. People magazine, Daily Beast, AOL, IB Times, Parade. The coverage went global fast. There's actually a name for what just happened: the Streisand effect. When Barbra Streisand tried to suppress photos of her Malibu home, it backfired and made those images spread everywhere. Millions saw them because of the attempt to hide them. The effort to silence something ended up amplifying it far beyond what would have happened naturally. And that's exactly the pattern people are pointing to here. This wasn't a quiet misstep. It pushed the story even further into the spotlight. And here's the part that stands out the most. What's circulating right now? Just excerpts. The full book doesn't even land until March 26th. That means there are still entire sections, full chapters, details no one has seen yet. They reacted before the full release, before the full context was even out. They saw the early pieces, responded fast, called Bower deranged, and overnight, that reaction helped drive even more attention straight to him and his book. 7 years ago, Australia welcomed them with massive crowds and non-stop support. Now, there's a petition pushing back against their visit, a book sitting at #1 before most people have even turned a single page, and headlines everywhere questioning what's really going on. Tickets priced at $3,000 just to be nearby, while people still remember that moment when Meghan reportedly questioned why crowds showed up at all. Add in ongoing public speculation that hasn't been clearly addressed, years of silence where many expected straightforward answers, and a past that's now being pulled right back into the spotlight. All of it is being driven by one author they haven't taken to court, haven't shut down, and haven't stopped. They told Tom Bower to stop, but instead, they made sure the entire world started paying attention. If you've made it this far, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your thoughts below.